Welcome to Lock It Down Sports. I'm your host, Locke Hoover. You can follow me on X at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on X. You can also check us out at E5280 Sports. That's E5280 Sports. And today on the Lock It Down Sports podcast, one tough decision was made. Why 16 ain't it? A crazy proposal, and is ESPN charging too much? And I want to start today's show with the Braves decision. And it surprised me a little bit. One of their decisions. I mean, the first decision was obviously Spencer Strider coming back when he was, taken off the IL. That was a given. But it was, which route do they go? Which route do they decide to go? Do they go a bullpen? Do they go a starter? Because look at the time of when they were pitching, I know they've already had, some of them had a starter to already had a start that, after Spencer Strider came off the deal, it was opted. But with Strider being on the IL, I mean, the rotation options were Bryce Elder, AJ Smith-Shawver, or Grant Holmes. Elder on the season in the big leagues has a 4.5 ERA in 8 starts in 44 innings. He had 5, and this is what I qualify as a good start. 5 good starts of 6 innings or more with less than 3 runs, or less than 3 runs, 5 innings or less, and 5 innings. So 6 innings of 3 or less runs, or 5 innings of 2 or less runs given up. He's had 5 good starts. And he's had 5 straight good starts in that time span. AJ Smith-Shawver on the season, a 2.33 ERA in 7 starts with 38 and 2/3 innings. 5 good starts of 6 innings or less, or 5 innings of 2 runs or less. And this is 5 straight. That was 5 straight for him now. His worst starts, 4 2/3, giving up 3 runs, and then 4 innings of 2 runs. Not ideal. You can live with that. Him being a young pitcher keeps you in the game. It's not a 7 spot and 4 2/3, and then you're pretty much done for the game. You're pretty much out of it. Grant Holmes, a 4.14 ERA in 8 starts, 45 and 2/3 innings. He's had 4 good starts, and 4 out of his last 6 have been good. My whole thought process in this was the way AJ Smith-Shawver's been throwing, he wasn't going down. Couple reasons why. One, he's 22, and he's learning and developing at the big league level. It seems like he's been around forever, but once again, he's only 22, and he hasn't been that successful in the big leagues when he came up at 20 years old. 20 years old in the big leagues. This is what the Braves were expecting or thinking when they drafted AJ Smith-Shawver. The rawness, the upside, the potential, the hard fastball, the slider, that split. The upside is tremendous. He's continuing to get better, and he's pitched well. Like, that messes with the psyche. It could mess with his psyche of, you know what, this is all starting to click. We're doing this at the big league level. We're pitching well. We're throwing well. So he wasn't going down. Then you had Bryce Elder, who I thought would stay in the rotation but obviously got sent down. Here's why I thought he would stay. A, he's pitching good. He's pitched good in the past, obviously, that 2 years ago. You know what he is as a starting pitcher. I mean, he doesn't have anything to work on in AAA. And he's made an adjustment with his sinker that they've talked about in games, changing the grip, and it's worked. You know, you see the adjustment, he's implemented it, and it's working. And he's not a bullpen type because he's not 97 plus, you know, he's 92 to 95. Movement, location, doesn't need to prove anything in AAA. Now he's going to go down, stay healthy, pitch well in AAA, and be ready to go. It's one of those. I hope we don't need him. I don't hope we don't need him anymore, but we will. And what I thought was going to happen was Grant Holmes was going to move to the bullpen due to the success he's had last year. And a couple reasons why I thought he was going to move to the pen. One, it makes the bullpen deeper. I don't think there's a lot of depth there when it comes to bullpen guys this year. And this guys still figuring out roles of when do I need to get ready? Who's going in now? And some of it's Brian Snitker, how he uses his bullpen. You can have all the guys there, but if you don't use them right, then, you know, that's a problem as well. Grant Holmes gives you a high leverage, multiple inning weapon where he can pitch in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings in close games, and you feel good about him. And then it saves the bullpen in a win or lose type situation. But it's a close situation where up 1, down 1, up 2, down, you know, whatever. Within a run, up 1, down 1. What if 2? He could be a Josh Hader type. I'm not saying Josh Hader type stuff, but what sometimes Hader did in Milwaukee. You know, he comes in and dominates for that 3-inning stretch. You know, Hader was 7th, 8th, 9th. Maybe sometimes when a pitcher only goes 5, Grant Holmes comes in 6th, 7th, 8th inning. You turn it over to Iglesias for the 9th, you know. Yes, he's down for 3 days. But if you win the game, it works out. Or it's that one, you're down 1 run, the break, you never score. But you keep your bullpen arms fresh the next day, and it's not a throwaway game with, hey, we feel good with Grant Holmes in there that can go get outs, keep the lead, or keep us right there for a chance for our offense to come back. Then, if you were to do that, you would have to have a decision in the bullpen. Whether that's have a fake IL stint or potentially DFAing a Rafael Montero, which is not as likely based on the fact that you made a trade for him. Granted, it wasn't a lot of just money, but you got some money invested in him, and you'd have to DFA him, and you'd lose him. Potentially, unless he accepted a minor league assignment or got picked up by someone else. But he would probably get picked up by someone because he's a veteran and he's a so-so pitcher, and you can only upgrade so-so pitchers. I mean, any team can upgrade a so-so, you know. But that's where they are at the bullpen. And then you've also got Craig Kimbrell sitting down there in AAA, who's finally getting his fastball velocity up. He's 94, 95 now, which is what he sat last year with Baltimore. He's fine. He can live with that. He's not 97, 98, 99, 100 like he was prime Kimbrell, but He can still work 90, 94, 95. He's finally gotten up there in AAA 94, 95 velocity with that slider. So there might be a move in the bullpen coming up soon regardless. The other decision they have to make is how do you get Drake Baldwin more at bats? All he does is hit. Guy just hits. Not playing regularly, off the bench. It's unreal. I mean, there's two options. One, catch more, and the second is left field. Obviously both are tricky, and there's no simple answer or solution. You can't really DH him because Marcel's one of your best hitters. You can't play him every day at catcher because Sean Murphy's been really good. One of the best catchers in the league. Top 5 catcher in the league overall. And if you go look at the numbers, every one of the Braves starting pitchers has a lower ERA with Sean Murphy behind the plate. Yeah, you got to factor that in too, not just the hitting aspect. But I would love to see him to catch more. So there's that fine line, that jugglement there. And then the other one I think is left field. Or you put Marcell Ozuna out there in left field because he has more playing time there. He's played there before, which I don't see happening. It's, you know what, Marcell, you go hit your 260 to 300 and hit 44 like you have the last 2 years, and drive at 100. That's fine. We'll roll with that. We'll be satisfied with that, right? So Baldwin has never played the outfield, even in spring training this year. So there's some trepidation with that for the Braves. But of the two, you put him in left field, right? I mean, you have to. I know they said it's not that simple and they may or may not do it, but they're leaning towards probably not doing it. I mean, look, we've watched Marcell Ozuna play left field. Jorge Soler, who can't play left field. Eddie Rosario, the last 2 years, who can't play left field. Even back in the day, the Braves put a catcher out there for 48 games in Evan Gattis. I mean, you have to get the bat in the lineup because they're struggling to score some runs. Even if it's twice a week or once a week in left field, 3 days behind the plate. Or maybe it's 2 days a week in left field, 3 days behind the plate. Then you get him 5 days a week. But you get him 5 out of the 7 days. You catch him 2 a day. Maybe he's left field off day, catches, off day, left field, catches. I mean, Duchovny can hit. Yes, he's going to come down because the league's going to figure him out. And then he's got to make the adjustment. But right now, why not? Why? I don't see the negative in that. You say he could get hurt out in outfield, yeah. Like he can't get hurt catching. Like that's not a dangerous position either. Get his bat in the lineup, and it's more or less going to be left field than behind the plate because of what Sean Murphy's doing. Now, something I do not like that's been discussed is if 16 is now the number for college football playoffs. I've been on the record. I've said this. 12 is too many teams. It should be 8 if they were going to expand, but money talks. Now with 16, maybe better heads will prevail looking at the sport as a whole. the Big Ten and the SEC met to discuss how the setup may look for this. And of course, they're all about it. The SEC and the Big Ten would get 4 automatic bids. So they get 8 of the 16 teams in automatically. ACC and Big 10, excuse me, ACC and Big 12. ACC and Big 12 would get 2 bids. Group of 6 would get 1 bid, and then you have 3 at-large bids. So we're potentially looking at 11 schools from the Big Ten, the SEC, and the 16-team playoff if 3 of those at-large bids go to those 2 conferences, which is very likely. Until you get an ACC, you get a good Florida State, a good Clemson team, or good Miami team. You know, there's your 3 teams. There's your potential 3 ACC teams. Your Big 12, it's a freaking coin flip every year with them of who's going to win the conference. So you can't pencil in a for sure basically at-large bid for them. So what are we doing? They're also discussing possible interleague play in games at the end of the year. So 3rd place conference team would play the 6th place conference team. Fourth place would play 5th place, et cetera, et cetera. To me, it's another bad idea. I mean, as beating a good team, it's hard enough once. Now to potentially do it again before the playoffs, that's wide. And potentially you might have to do it in the playoffs. So you could potentially play a team 3 times, depending on how everything shakes out bracket-wise. Yeah, that's not feasible to me. For these teams, it's not fair. Having to beat a team once, you might play them again in the playoffs already twice. A 3rd time? Absolutely insane. Another thing with this, I mean, the 16-team playoff would not really help the ACC or the Big 12, as it only really helps, in my opinion, the SEC and the Big 10, as it just creates a wider separation between the 4 conferences. And it's staggering of why they would allow this this separation gap that's already there, that's already known. I mean, overall, I think it's bad for college football, and it would be even more SEC and Big 12 versus the Big 12. Excuse me, Big 10. It would be even more SEC versus the Big 10, and not give the rest of college football a chance. Don't you want an ACC team or a Big 12 team to potentially emerge? Yeah, the SEC and the Big 10 now have all these power schools with the Oregons, with the Southern Cals, all that they've been down, I know. But there's a lot of potential upside there joining. And of course, you know, you got Washington, who's usually pretty solid as well. So a lot of uncertainty and expansion talk with the numbers, but sometimes less is more. Less is more, and that should matter. And I hope the other 2 conferences put a stop to it and say, no, we're not doing this. We have to agree to no. Now, something's kind of crazy. A bill was proposed so Ohio State does not have to play noon kickoff games outside of the Michigan game, which is always at noon. This bill was proposed by a Ohio congressman. And this tells me you don't understand college football and how it works. Now, I don't know what side, if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't know. I don't care. It's still crazy not understanding how this works. But you're in Congress, you're government. So, of course, you're not going to understand how this sort of thing works. You're in government. Why would you understand that? Because it's the networks. It's the TV networks that determine what time each team plays. And your conference, the Big Ten, agreed with Fox that the primetime game was at noon. And they made the primetime game at noon because they didn't want to and have to compete with the SEC 3:30 CBS game. They were getting their butt kicked every week by CBS for the 3:30 primetime game. Obviously, that is kind of changed now with CBS and SEC no longer with each other, as the Big Ten has a 3:30 CBS game, but it's their second, third, fourth tier game now. It's all dictated by the networks. As I was always told in this media business, never mess with any man's money, right? Same thing applies here. Don't mess with Ohio State's money, especially in this NIL age and time that we're at. They'd be missing out on a lot of primetime revenue if they said, no, we're not going to, if this rule was actually in place. It's crazy. I don't see this happening. And the proposal does not understand college football at all. Now, this seems kind of pricey to me. And that's ESPN's direct-to-consumer product they'll be putting out will be $29.99. Because all you get is ESPN streaming services and all of ESPN's. So that's ESPN, ESPN Plus, ESPN, ESPN2, SEC Network, ACC Network. So all the, and ABC. So all the ESPN sports properties for $29.99. So $30 a month. You get just that. And I was looking around, I was like, that seems kind of high when considering all the other options and products, that are out there. So YouTube TV, $82.99 per month. Obviously, you get the ESPN channels and more. Fubo TV, $84 per month. Hulu TV is $82.99 per month, which would be part of that price, and it would include all the ESPN services because they're part of Disney and ESPN's owned by Disney and all that. So that doesn't make a lot of sense unless you want to have ESPN. Hey, I don't watch anything but Sports ESPN, and I don't really watch any other things, so I'm going to have stream Netflix. And now what is Netflix is what, 14? Is it what, 15 a month now? Is that what it is? I don't have Netflix. I don't know. I think it's 14 a month for the base tier. So you're sitting at right there, you're sitting at 45. You're sitting at 45 right there. But if you want to watch just sports, ESPN doesn't cover everything, So if you go with another streaming platform, there's Philo, which is $28 per month, but you don't have as many channels, and there's no sports on that. So if you pair that with ESPN DirecTV, you get it's $59.99. Maybe that would be your best bet if you want to get it. But compared to the price, I don't I don't feel like you're receiving much in return for what is being offered. I really don't see this succeeding unless it's okay. It might peak from August late August when college football season starts and to December, but then it goes down and it might be the roller coaster. If they're fine with that, sure. Or I could see it during some weeks of college football. You look at the schedule. Oh, I'm not interested in the games this month. I'm going to cancel them. What the games that are come on ESPN. So depending on who you're a fan of, I could see even weeks or months during college football season where ESPN direct to consumer package is canceled. So there's a lot of question marks. I don't see it working, but as I say, it's one of those wait and sees, see what happens. I'm Locke Hoover. As always, you can follow me on X at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on X. You can also check us out at E5280 Sports. That's E5280 Sports. I'm Locke Hoover. You're listening to Lock It Down Sports. Talk to you next week.